If we can share information in a usable format that then is helpful for them to actually run their businesses, then I want to do that.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of GovCast. I'm Sylvia Oakland, staff writer with GovCIO Media and Research. The Office of Personnel Management, OPM, recently updated its federal workforce data platform from FedScope to the Federal Workforce Data, or FWD for short. The new platform offers users a better web experience, timely data access, and other shifts to improve transparency within the federal workforce. Through several 2025 executive orders, the Trump administration tasked agencies with providing more transparency into how the federal government works, how much it spends, and what it spends taxpayer dollars on. OPM Director Scott Kupor, who you heard at the beginning of this program, told GovCIO Media and Research that FWD can help set best standards across government hiring and employee data initiatives. With standards in place, old systems and data sets can be consolidated or removed to provide one place of common information.
The main goal at the end of the day is we do want to have consolidation of resources more generally. So as you know, obviously we're doing this, this big HR IT consolidation service. And again, that's another good example where if we do that, not only do we deal with all these other goals, but it has downstream effects for making our retirement more efficient because we now have a canonical record of everybody's, lifetime data in government and all kinds of other stuff like that. So there's kind of both immediate dollar savings from consolidation, but more importantly, long term is how do we actually help people manage their own environments more effectively.
OPM OCIO officials told GovCIO Media and Research that the old FedScope was brittle. It cost a lot due to multiple licensing agreements, and data wasn't updated in a timely fashion. So OPM had three goals to achieve a modernized data platform: getting the data out there quickly so it remained accurate, having a more modern system that allowed for agility and flexibility, and overall creating a better user experience. Nick Hart, CEO and president of the Data Foundation, spoke with GovCIO Media and Research about his experience using FedScope. This was during his time as the director of the Evidence Project at the Bipartisan Policy Center within the White House's Office of Management and Budget.
FedScope was really clunky and archaic. It was an infrastructure that was built for the 1990s, and you had to sort of be a power user to understand how to extract the information that you wanted. So for a normal American on Main Street, they would not be able to understand how the government workforce was changing if that was a question that they were interested in. So in particular, at a time period where government workforce is changing rapidly, I think we must set that expectation that these kinds of websites from government agencies should prioritize usability and the user experience. The last thing that I'd say in terms of major changes is that the analytical capabilities, while there were some analytical capabilities in FedScope, the new infrastructure actually improves these quite a bit, including for the data nerds like myself, the record level download capabilities lets us import the data into statistical software where you can do really rigorous and powerful data analytics. And then the structured files that are available that go back literally decades is something that will enable that analysis to be pretty robust.
Data modernization projects may feel like a chicken or an egg situation. Which do we tackle first? OPM OCIO said that they're working to remove the idea of needing perfect data, which may hinder some agencies' data modernization. FWD provides monthly updates to the data versus FedScope's 9 months to a year timeline of publishing those. OPM created a cadence with agencies to receive data every 2 weeks to ensure that FWD publishes monthly, again with that accurate data. OCIO officials also work with agencies to help with data formatting and validation, which can help agencies improve their data submissions to FWD over time. And most importantly, OCIO told me, it can help agencies access their own data to improve their processes.
If we're going to ask agencies for data, to Perrin's point, we need to give them back something that hopefully, enables them to hopefully manage their organizations more effectively. So FWD is an example, but even more broadly, as we collect a lot of other information that may not be in the EHRI, like, for example, how are you doing on return to office or various other things, right, that are kind of priorities for the administration. We're building a whole set of dashboards now that we will then be able to send back to the agencies so that they can see, okay, from a comparative perspective, how are they doing relative to others, so we can kind of share best practices if somebody's doing well or not. But more generally to say, hey, look, I think our vision over time is, look, can we give you guys usable dashboard information that ultimately you as the agency can determine how best to help improve your operations?
OPM said that they plan to take user feedback from this first iteration of Forward and use it to inform future updates on how to create a better and more user-friendly platform. And Nick highlighted that Forward is a big step in the right direction, but future updates will need a more accessible way for the public or other branches of government to make sense of what these data sets mean.
Anytime we're building platforms like this, we should be starting with the questions, not with the data that we have. And cannot stress enough how important it is for government to reflect what questions the American people are actually asking. So I'd say that's a really important step for OPM to consider as they go forward, is to do some user testing, to have feedback with key stakeholders, whether it's people out on Main Street who are interested in this data, some of the associations who are tracking it, maybe the unions, and definitely with members of Congress and their staff who are interested in supporting oversight and ensuring that that transparency and accountability mechanism is effective. And that also requires us to look at subgroups across the data that's there. And while we have a long ways to go in fulfilling the full intent and obligations of agencies under that law, this little implementation of one particular system at OPM is a microcosm of exactly the intent of what we want in implementation of that law, which is a really high quality data collection and management and ecosystem that is actually usable, where the data sources, the metadata, which is the data about the data, the manifestation of how the data can be used, it's all present and available for the experts, but also regular people who need to access and understand that information.
Datasets are published on Forward every first Wednesday of the month, and you can view them at data.opm.gov. Interested in learning more about agencies' federal data modernization efforts? Be sure to join GovCIO Media and Research at our upcoming events, like the Federal IT Efficiency Summit or the Federal Cloud and Data Forum. You can learn more and register for both of these events on our website at govciomedia.com/events. Thanks again for listening to today's episode of GovCast.